Okay, well, welcome everybody. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I was just running from our Mind the Future session, and I realized I was more casual for Mind the Future than I wanted to be for this meeting, so I needed a few minutes to put a tie on. So, although I can't see you, I know there are a couple dozen folks on right now, and when I'm sharing my slides, I can't see you, so raise your hand if you have any questions as we go along. And if I don't see you, Christopher Flo hopefully will be monitoring and can stop me from presenting. So this is a session that's intended for people that their first meeting will be in Portland, and also for new members. So it's a bit of an introduction to both our organization, AADOCR, as well as what will be happening in Portland. So let's get right into it. And a little bit about AADOCR. Our mission is to drive dental, oral, and craniofacial research to advance health and well-being. Our vision is oral health through discovery and dissemination. And our values are three-pronged, one under scientific excellence, another under social responsibility, and another third under scientific community. So under scientific excellence, we value science conducted at the highest possible levels of rigor, innovation, ethics across disciplines from discovery science to clinical implementation to global population health. This over here, and then I can look more at the camera. Under social responsibility, we value the pursuit of science to improve health and well-being for all people, to reduce health inequalities and inequities, and to proactively take actions and positions to improve health. And then the community, which are all of you and more, we value a diverse and inclusive scientific workforce, promoting work-life balance and supporting educational activities and mentoring networks to develop the next generation of scientists. And I just came from one such network with our Mind the Future program. Dr. Weintraub is our president. She is the R. Gary Rozier and Chester W. Douglas Distinguished Professor at the Adams School of Dentistry at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And I can't see the list of participants, but I'm sure she's one of those joining. So if you have questions directed to the president, feel free to do so. And Dr. Weintraub, if you're on and want to add to something or point out something I missed or amplify something, raise your hand and Christopher Flo will be able to unmute you and you can add to the conversation. So we appreciate you being here. Dr. Weintraub is one of 16 board members, and at the conclusion of the Portland meeting, the president-elect becomes the president. So at the conclusion of the Portland meeting, Alex Vieira from University of Pittsburgh will be the president from 2023 to our 2024 meeting in New Orleans. And Effie Yanadu, who is our current vice president, will become president-elect. And our immediate past president is Jacques Noor from the University of Michigan, treasurer Anna Bertrand-Rousseau from Marquette University. Our editors of our two journals, JDR and JDR-CTR, are Nick Jakubovics from Newcastle in England and Jocelyn Fine from McGill in Montreal. We have a patient advocate representative, Paige Fallion, from the Association of Maternal and Child Health Programs based here in Washington, D.C. We have an industry representative, Joe Oxman from 3M, a young investigator, new investigator, Brian Foster from Ohio State University, let's say the Ohio State University, and members at large, Ben Chaffee, Sheila Riggs, and Luciana Shaddix from UCSF, Minnesota, and Kentucky. And student representatives, James Young Jin Jang from University of Florida, Gainesville, and Kazane Pax from the Ohio State University, and myself. And I spend that time going through the board members because they put in a lot of time to the running of the organization and making the meetings successful and our organization successful and our publications successful. And I think you should know who they are and also how geographically diverse the group is, and the fact that the board has very consciously made sure that we've got representation from students, where I assume many of the participants in this meeting are students or younger investigators, and to have a young investigator on as well. So we want to make sure we get all those perspectives, including from the patient advocates and industry as well. There are many benefits to being a member of AADOCR. You are part of an international community. Our publications I just mentioned, JDR, Journal of Dental Research, and the JDR Clinical and Translational Research. You get to be a member of one of 35 different scientific groups and networks, or you can join additional ones as well. We have our fabulous CE On Demand library, where you can view recordings of previous meetings. Very steep discounts at our meetings if you're a member. You're eligible for a variety of awards and fellowships, and AADOCR has a significant advocacy program where we are up on the Hill talking to policymakers on the importance of investing in health research, and specifically dental craniofacial research. NIDCR, our lead agency, and we're happy to say that the NIDCR's annual appropriations is now over $500 million, and we continue to advocate for why further research is needed. We have a career center, and also you have access to our membership directory if you're a member. So you can find, say Professor Weintraub, you want to have a conversation with, you can find her direct email address directly in our membership directory. And this is a short video that hopefully will play, and the sound. I always have problems with the sound, but let's see if this works.
We are not hearing.
You're not hearing the sound?
If you click the little up arrow next to your share screen, the share screen icon in Zoom, you should be able to say share
okay,
audio.
over here. Okay, you are screen sharing in the green part.
That little up arrow, that little up caret top next to the share screen, yeah. Icon.
Okay.
Is there a share audio?
There's like I know it says recording in the cloud, and then there's a enhanced encryption at the top, and then no, there's not a. I don't see where that would be. Usually when I first join, it'll ask whether I want to join the audio, but I'm not seeing that option either. How about if I do the more?
Maybe it's under more. I can't recall. Once you're sharing, I can't see it because it's
share sound.
up there. Perfect.
Dental, oral, and craniofacial research on a global scale. Your membership with IADR keeps you up to date on the latest research from publications such as the Journal of Dental Research and the JDR Clinical and Translational Research. Members can access a wealth of valuable resources, including cutting-edge research from past IADR meetings, via the IADR CE On Demand Library and Abstract Archive. Each year, join thousands of scientists and researchers from around the world at the IADR General Session. General Sessions provide opportunities to present your research, hear the latest research, and connect and collaborate with colleagues. Our extensive membership base of over 10,000 scientists worldwide is invaluable to building your professional network. The new online IADR community offers members multiple opportunities to build your network virtually. Interested in a specific area of research? Join one of IADR's scientific groups or networks to connect with others in your specialty area. Whether supporting your research development or building exposure for your research, IADR offers countless award and fellowship opportunities to its members, while volunteer opportunities provide exciting new ways to not only make a difference, but also to build lasting relationships with fellow scholars. Now is the time to renew your IADR membership and continue to be a part of the future of dental, oral, and craniofacial research. Discover, network, and advance your career with IADR.
Okay, thank you for the assistance. Oops, we're going to do this again. We don't need to do it twice. So our IADR community, as was mentioned in the video, is an online platform where you can engage throughout the year. We have a specific AADOCR community as well, and you can post comments, you can respond to comments, you can share ideas. Anything for discussion is in this community. We really developed this in mid-2020 when there was no other way for us to network other than through virtual platforms. And it was really quite a boon to us in terms of getting us past those initial lockdown stages of the pandemic. But it's proved very useful, and we're obviously maintaining it as we're coming out of the pandemic. Also, we have our CE on Demand library. It's under the IADR because there's recordings there not only from AADOCR, but other divisions, as well as Scientific Group and Network webinars are available here on this website. So I would encourage you to click on this link on the AADOCR website to find this location and take advantage of some of the previous recordings. As I mentioned, if you're a student, you get to be a member of 3 scientific groups or networks with your membership, and you can add additional beyond the 3. And then for full members, you choose one primary scientific group or network, but you can add additional ones for an additional fee of, I think it's $20 each, but you get your first membership included as part of your IADR membership. So we have 35 scientific groups and networks, 25 scientific groups, 10 networks, and the 3 most recent ones that we just added last year are laser and biophotonics, and minimally invasive dentistry network, and the e-oral health network are our latest scientific groups and networks. But you see, we represent the range of science, everything from behavioral science and health services research, which is the first one, to craniofacial biology, to the global oral health inequalities research network. So we really want to represent the breadth of science. Stem cell biology, another one. So I would hazard a guess that no matter what area of research that you're interested in within dental or in craniofacial research, you can find a scientific home within one of the scientific groups and networks. And that's really what they are, because our organization is very large. IADR of about 10,000 members and AADOCR at 3,000. It can be hard to find your community, but once you get down to the scientific groups and networks, they're the ones that put together the program, put together the symposia and the interactive talks. And I would encourage you, if you're coming to Portland, which hopefully you are, you attend the business meetings of these scientific groups and networks as well, to really get to know the movers and shakers in each of these groups and networks. I mentioned the Journal of Dental Research. We're very proud of the fact that under the leadership of Nick Jakubovics, we now have our highest impact factor ever of almost 8.924, a 2-year journal impact factor, our 5-year impact factor of 8.5, an eigenfactor score ranking at number 1 of the 92 journals in our space, and our total citations also number 1 at 27,000. So very proud of this journal. It celebrated its centennial in 2019, so well over 100 years now and going strong. In 2016, we introduced a companion journal called JDR Clinical and Translational Research. And it's not to say that JDR did not have clinical research within it. It did, and it still does. But the purpose of this journal was to focus a little bit more on research at the interface between discovery science and clinical application, with the translation of research into healthcare delivery systems at the individual, clinical, and community levels. So this is now 6 years old. It has great metrics in terms of time from submission to first decision, and from first acceptance to online publication. There's been a bit of a delay in getting a official impact factor, but there's this emerging impact factor that they just announced last year that it has. And we're hopeful that next year we'll have a bona fide impact factor. Under awards and fellowships, there are 40 awards and fellowships in different categories, with a real focus on student awards as well as young investigators. So those of you who are on this call, please look at all of these opportunities under both the IADR website and the AADOCR website, and then also even within the scientific groups and networks, there may be some specific research awards or travel awards to come to our meetings. The highlight of our meetings are always the Hatton competition in the junior, senior, and postdoctoral categories. Those competitions, hopefully some of you are involved in those, will be on the Tuesday before our meeting. And then we announce the winners of the Hatton competition during our opening ceremonies live in Portland. And the winners of the AADOCR Hatton competition go on to the IADR Hatton competition in Bogota in June of this year. As I mentioned, we have a very active government affairs and advocacy program. And our activities here are to advance dental and craniofacial research funding amongst Congress and in administration. We just heard this morning that the president's budget will be coming out by this Friday, with more details coming out the following Monday. So we'll find out what at least the president's request is in terms of funding for NIH and for NIDCR. We probably won't get the NIDCR figure until next week, and that's sort of starts the dialogue with Congress on what the appropriation should be for these agencies. And we will be there with our sister dental organizations, as well as broader research community, to advocate for NIDCR funding, but also NIH and AHRQ and CDC's oral health program, and other agencies that have dental research programs, including the military and VA. We also analyze legislation and regulatory notices to make sure that our space of dental, oral, and craniofacial research is well represented. We have a Capitol Hill Day, which is coming up the end of March, where we include the Friends of the National Institute of Dental and Craniofacial Research, the patient advocates, as part of that process, as an important part of that process. And you can go to the AADOCR blog to get updates on legislation and regulatory activities, and the blog is listed there. You can also find it by just going to the website. We took over the activities of the Friends of NIDCR in 2016, and this is a group of patient advocates, nonprofit organizations that work together to support oral health research and NIDCR. Really having the Friends with us increases our efficiency. We eliminate duplication of advocacy efforts, and we make sure we're speaking to Congress with one voice in terms of what that appropriation should be. We just had a Friends of NIDCR meeting a few weeks ago on the NIH campus with Dr. Rena D'Souza and other leaders of NIDCR. It was fantastic to have a meeting back in person. We have over 30 different patient advocate groups. So some of these are rare diseases, but some also not so rare. So focused on anything that impacts the dental, oral, and craniofacial complex, including oral cancer, cleft lip and palate, some rare diseases, Sjogren's Foundation, Scleroderma Foundation, and you can access this list on our website as well. And some of the patient advocate representatives will be at our meeting in Portland as well. Including Paige Valion, who I mentioned, who is with the Association of Maternal and Child Health, and also on our board. About 25% of AADOCR's membership are students. So when you join as a student, either as a dental student or a PhD student, or even earlier in your career, we have some college and university students who have an interest in going into dentistry and going into dental research that will become a member, but you're automatically then a member of the NSRG, or the National Student Research Group, completely student run. We have two representatives from the NSRG, the president and the president-elect, on our AADOCR board, but they pretty much manage all of their activities beyond that. They're on the AADOCR board so that the board gets a perspective from the students at the board level, but they run a number of activities at the meeting. They put together their own symposia and sessions, and they will also have a business meeting in Portland. So I would encourage any students to attend that as well. One of the highlights, if not the highlight, of the AADOCR CADR annual meeting are our distinguished lecture series speakers. When we select these individuals, we try to go beyond dental, oral, and craniofacial research to speakers, in the broad community, medical research community, but we'll have applications within dental, oral, and craniofacial research that we can then, expound upon in other sessions. Pardon me. So the three DLS speakers are Julie Basalt, pardon me, and Dr. Middleovpov and Brian Drucker. from Oregon. And you can see from the title of their talks that very broad, but they're really top-notch scientists, and you will not regret attending each of these DLS sessions, whether it's close to your area or not. But it's going to be pitched to a very general scientific audience, and I'm sure all three will be fascinating. This email went out last week. Hopefully some of you have already downloaded the meeting app, but this is going to be really your key way to get around the meeting, because that'll have all the program information and the room assignments. Due to having a sustainable meeting, most meetings that you have attended, you will notice, have moved away from a lot of printed material because it is so wasteful for a 4-day meeting. So everything is on the app. So you really need this to get through the meeting. The alternative would be if you are traveling with your laptop or a tablet, you can also access the program that way as well. Pardon me. Sorry, I should have muted that. Our meeting next year will be a combined meeting with our international colleagues. So the New Orleans meeting, March 13th through the 16th, 2024 in New Orleans, will be our first IADR meeting in North America since the pandemic, really. So this would be a very exciting meeting. The last IADR meeting that we had in the US would have been San Francisco in 2017. Because our 2019 meeting was in Vancouver, which was a very successful meeting, but then obviously our Washington, D.C. 2020 meeting was canceled, and then the subsequent IADR meetings have been virtual. The Atlanta meeting was hybrid, but that was AADOCR CADR. And you can follow us on social media with these various accounts, and you can, if you have any further questions, you can email us at research@aadocr.org or with this phone number, and my email is cfox@iadr.org. And I see now, she probably joined earlier, but it wasn't on my screen, but I see that Dr. Weintraub is with us. And Jane, would you like to add anything to what I've been able to articulate so far? And then I'll give you a chance to have a drink of water. Thanks. Can we hear Jane? I'm not hearing Jane, or is it just me?
Okay, how's this?
Perfect, now I can hear you. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Oh, looks like I just disappeared from the screen. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, I just stopped
Okay.
sharing my screen.
All right. Thank you so much for joining this organization. It's a really, really fabulous organization. It's very well organized. We have great leadership. Chris Fox and the staff at headquarters keep things running smoothly. Communication is good. It's just a fabulous organization to meet lots and lots of people who are really smart, who are really passionate in science, who are engaged in their research. If you're coming to our meeting in Portland, and this is your first time, please introduce yourself to people. Let us know. We want to welcome you. And think about who you want to meet. You may have read a lot of papers from scientists who are going to be at our meeting. Make a point to meet them. Go up and say hello or invite them to coffee or something. I do that at every meeting. I try to meet new people, and that's how I get to know a lot of people at these meetings. Even if you're just standing in line waiting for a drink or something, say hello. We have a wonderful community and a wonderful organization.
Great, thank you, Dr. Weintraub. Are there any questions from the participants? And I think if you raise your hand, we'll be able to unmute you. I'll give that just a minute.
And while you're going through the program, trying to decide which sessions you want to attend, there's always lots of choices. There's usually 3 or 4 at any given time that I want to attend. Some of them will be recorded that you can listen to afterwards. And don't just limit them to sessions about your particular research topic. Expand your mind and think about other topics as well, or hear who might be really good speakers and learn from all the different experts that we have. And if you can't find Dr. Fox to ask him a question. If you see me, I'm happy to try to answer questions as well as I'm wandering around.
Yeah, and our AADOCR staff. So they'll all be wearing little name badges like this. Oops, it's funny how this thing kind of comes in and out, but maybe if I put it over here, you'll be able to see that. And, feel free to track us down and ask any questions. Dr. Weintraub brings up a good point about attending sessions that may not be your exact area, and a good introduction to an area that you may not be familiar with is to look in the program for keynote addresses, and keynote addresses tend to give the state of the art of that field. So if I don't know anything about cardiology, I may look at, well, who's the keynote address speaker in cardiology and attend that session, and that'll be really an excellent introduction to that field.
And we're also having a special in-depth series of sessions on our meeting within a meeting that's on the topic aging and oral health, because we're all getting older, whether we like it or not. And so even if you haven't worked with older adults or thought about the aging process and how it might relate to the research that you're doing, it's going to be 3 days, 8 to 9:30 a.m., Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's a very cross-cutting topic. We'll be cutting basic science, social behavioral science, education, research, training, the whole gamut over the 3 days.
Yeah, and Dr. Weintraub pulled that program together, and we've got speakers that have funding from the National Institute of Aging, and it will really speak to the biologic aspects as well as social science aspects of aging. So it'll be a really fascinating program that I would encourage you to attend, because even if you're not interested in aging, you'll age eventually yourself, as Dr. Weintraub said.
The final speaker will be Dr. D'Souza, our NIDCR director, on the third day.
Not that she's aging, but she's an important person to know about in terms of funding. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any questions, so here we go.
There's one.
Yep,
question.
got it, just in time. So as an undergraduate student, what advice would you give to me? This will be my first AADOCR. I'm going to let Dr. Weintraub take that.
My first AADOCR meeting was when I was an undergraduate as well, and I remember it well of the meeting. It was in New York. I would just take it all in and realize that you are a part of a large community. I know as a dental student, there weren't many of us doing research or interested in research, and then being at the meeting, it just opened up this whole new world. Like, oh wow, there are lots and lots of people who are interested in doing all dental craniofacial research. And as I said earlier, start networking, making connections with people that are doing research that you're interested in. Go to interactive talks. If there's a topic that really engages you, try to meet with the speaker afterwards. Speakers love it when people are interested in what they have to say and want to know more about it.
And Ben, you said as an undergraduate student, so I assume that you mean pre-dental student, or are you saying an undergraduate dental student? Because sometimes we use those terms interchangeably. But if you're a undergraduate college university student, or any type of student, make sure you attend some of the NSRG sessions as well. And I'm delighted to see that we have an undergraduate student that's interested not only in dentistry, but dental research. So you are definitely needed in this field. So you will be warmly welcomed. So I hope to see you in Portland.
And our National Student Research Group members, they're one of the most active groups that we have. They're always coming up with events and ideas. It's really wonderful.
Thank you for the question.
I do want to plug, speaking of NSRG, there is a virtual, the 411 Rapid Research Competition tonight that the NSRG is putting on online, and that is an open competition that anyone is welcome to attend and is linked from our website. But yeah, especially for students, that's an opportunity to start seeing some of the NSRG programming. It begins this evening.
What time is that? Do you have that off the top
That
of your
is
head,
at 5 p.m. Pacific or 8 p.m. Eastern time. And if you go to the website and you look at virtual events upcoming, it will be listed there. But yeah, to be able to see some of our most excited researchers that the students chose for this exclusive competition run by the National Student Research Group.
Great, thank you for that addition. Pre-dentals at University of Kentucky, wow. Well, welcome. We have some excellent members at the University of Kentucky School of Dentistry, so we'll make sure you're connected there. But nice to see a pre-dental student interested in dentistry and dental research. So you'll be welcome. And Dr. Weintraub and I both know the president of the University of Kentucky, who is a dentist by training, Eli Capilouto, right?
Mhm. Right. And I was at the Kentucky AADOCR
Oh,
meeting
that's right.
this past spring. The combination of University of Kentucky and the Louisville groups merged together, and they invited me to give a keynote talk, and it was a wonderful, wonderful event.
Okay, well, I don't want to belabor this webinar, and it will be very exciting to see everybody in person next week in Portland. Those of you who may be involved in council, we have the council meeting tomorrow also. But as Christopher Flo said, we've got the 411 competition, and just download the app, and you can see the upcoming virtual events. There's some other business meetings this week, the scientific groups and networks. So check those out if you're interested in that field. They're always welcoming for new members to just come in and join their meeting. So please consider that also. Dr. Weintraub, any closing words?
No, just looking forward to seeing you in Portland and many years to come.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for attending this session. Bye now.